How's it going, guys? Another tea with Andrew. I want to thank Nick Haggerty for filling in for me last week. I did what I never really do and went on vacation. It was fantastic, but want to go over some different things, some different ideas about is it still a good time to sell your home? Is it a good time to buy your home? And some conversations that you need to have with your buyers and sellers, because there's a lot of we talk about this in the office all the time. There's always that double standard of, oh, does it make sense to buy right now? Does it make sense to sell right now? I have this conversation when I teach at the real estate academy a lot of, is it a good time to be in real estate? And we hear that a lot. It's like, oh, it's a horrible time to be in real estate, or it's an amazing time to be in real estate. When in the reality, it's always a good time to be in real estate. Now, are sometimes easier than others, or sometimes faster than others? Absolutely. But as long as people are still moving to or from El Paso, or moving within El Paso from one side of town to another, upgrading or downgrading their homes, it's a good time to be in real estate. You just got to make sure when they're calling someone, you're the one they're calling. So anytime someone says it's a bad time to be in real estate, that just means they're not doing a good job of marketing themselves. In hot markets, bad markets, people are still selling houses. People are still buying houses. So the question is right now, does it make sense to sell in this market? Does it make sense to buy in this market? So some different thoughts that we're going to go over on this because there's a lot of things to consider, but huge advantage in this current market. If you're a seller, your house is going to sell much quicker. The National Association of Realtors is saying the average selling time in right now is 17 days nationally. 17 days, it's insane. If you're from El Paso for a long period of time, in 1993, the 3rd Cavalry left El Paso. The average time on market was about 367 days. That's a long time. So 17 days is unheard of. What's crazy is if you're a new agent, this is not normal. This is not something that we will see often. And you can't get used to this idea. You can't believe you put a house on the market, you don't have to do anything and you get 15 offers. It's not a realistic mindset to have. And you've got to be aware of that going into it. You've got to know that is the case, and that's how it's going to work, because sooner or later the market will shift, and you've got to be prepared for, okay, now what am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? How are we going to play the game? So it's a crazy market right now. It's fantastic. If you represent a seller, it's going to go quickly. Now, also right now, we are down 20% on the number of homes that are available on the market from a year ago. What that means is there's more competition because there's fewer homes. So that means there's more and more offers being given on a single property. Huge advantages as well. That just makes, what we're fighting right now, especially in El Paso, Dallas areas, all those areas, is we're having to deal with changing the buyer's mindset. In El Paso, for a long time, we played the game of, we're a poor economy, we're a poor county, no one has money for closing costs, we can't have realistic earnest money, we can't have realistic option monies, and we're seeing more and more, especially over the last year and a half, we want more. We want more earnest money, we want more option money, and we're asking for bigger down payments. We're no longer, we're seeing very few seller concessions, where 2 years ago, I'd say 80% of offers that I saw had seller concessions at least. Now we're seeing maybe 1 in 10 has some kind of seller concessions. Just a different game plan, and it's very difficult because you hear a lot of, well, when I bought my home, I got this, or 5 years ago they gave me $10,000 towards closing costs. Well, it's not 10 years ago. It's not 5 years ago. It's not a year ago. It's now, and then now we're not seeing that on the market. So we're seeing buyers requiring more than 1, 2, 3 offers before they start to figure out, oh, I'm losing these offers. Here's why. What do I got to do differently? How do I got to play the game differently? So now, huge opportunities if you're the seller in that regard. Now, when supply is low, your house is in the spotlight. Huge advantage as well. Most significant challenges for motivated buyers is the current inventory of homes for sale. We talked about this, record lows. It is down substantially from years past. Buyers for somehow are coming up with more and more money, cash. They're paying above appraisal price. They're waiving appraisals. They're doing things in El Paso I never thought we would see. I never thought we would do. What I love about El Paso is we're always in this sheltered bubble, and we catch up to the rest of Texas about 2 or 3 years later. And we've seen it in Austin. We've seen it in Dallas for the last couple of years. And we're starting to see it now. And the same things that were happening there are happening here. And it's just a crazy time. It's a crazy market. But having that knowledge about, excuse me, how it's going to work and be done is kind of neat to see, because it's been growing strong for all this time, and it's continuing to go strong. I think we're still going to see it for a long time. The question is going to be for your sellers is, does it make sense for me to sell my home right now because I have nothing to move into? And the answer is yes. I mean, at the end of the day, the advantages for buyers right now are there. And the number one is low interest rates. Low interest rates is huge. Paying a little bit more money, but getting a lower interest rate for 15 or 30 years is a huge advantage over the lifetime of the loan. And taking that into consideration, right now people are capitalizing on all of the equity they've got in their homes. If homes have gone up 10, 15%, sometimes 25 or 30 in a certain area, if you're able to capitalize on that equity and put that large down payment on the next home, huge advantages. When you combine that with the low interest rates, it's a huge opportunity. So that's the thing about is stir craziness, and let's be honest, COVID over the last year, a lot of people were in their home. They're sick of seeing the same scenery. They're sick of not having a pool, or not having this or that, or whatever accommodation they wanted or have realized they need at a place for office, whatever it is, making sure that they can have that for the next market and whatever they want to do. So I think you're definitely seeing where buyers are saying, listen, I understand where the issue is. I understand where the product I want and the product I need is going to be coming from. I'm really hoping that I'm seeing a lag on my computer, so I'm hoping nobody else is getting that, but we'll see. We'll see when I get off and watch the video. It's just going to be an interesting time, because I think buyers are really, they know what they want, they know what they're missing, they got the equity, so it does absolutely make sense as far as right now to be looking at it. It's a good time to move. Now, a thing sellers need to understand, though, inventory is inching up. We're seeing more and more inventory every month hitting the market. So you're going to see less multiple bids on offers. You're going to see it starting to come down, the craziness a little bit, but it's still there. I think right now is definitely a good time to sell, and definitely a good time to buy. There's different challenges that we have to deal with. One of the big issues that we've had is appraisers, and it frustrated me. I would talk to lenders, and there were people like, guys, I don't get it. We have less inventory, but we don't have that many more sales. So what's the problem? And it took a minute, and someone had to slap me around and say, hey, remember, sales is not all appraisers do. And with interest rates where they are, tons and tons of people refinancing their homes. So on top of all the sales that they're having to hit up, they're also having to hit up all of the refinances for appraisals. And unfortunately, appraisers are starting to retire out. Not many people are going into the industry. It makes it very difficult. So appraisals, give them some stress, give them an idea. Oh, Kent, thank you. Said I'm good to go on the thing. Now, I did spend some time outside in San Antonio, so I do have a little cough, if you haven't noticed. So this will not be the longest Tea with Andrew session that we have. But just things to think about and understand when you're talking to clients, prepare them for, hey, appraisers are being overworked. We know it. It's frustrating. I know. We can't be putting 20-day closings. It's unrealistic. I talked about this when I had the Tea with Andrew with Cheryl Montenegro. If you're a listing agent and you get a pre-approval letter, call that lender. Hey, how serious is this? Can we do this? Are these timelines realistic? Can they happen? If that lender's not willing to talk to you, in my eyes, it's a red flag of, hey, we all got to work together to get this thing done. If you're not willing to tell me what we can and can't do, it's not going to make it easy for me on this transaction. How realistic are these timelines? I had to deal where the buyer said, I'm waiving the appraisal. I called the lender. I'm like, hey, are we waiving the appraisal? No, we're not waiving nothing. I'm not waiving an appraisal. That's important stuff to know. Making sure, does he have the down payment to pay the difference? No. Also good to know. These are important facts to make sure you know what you're walking into. Ironically, later that day, that deal came off the market. So my guess is the lender called him and said, hey, you can't do that. Having that knowledge is huge. When you've got 7 offers, you've got to pick the right offer. And that's the difficulty that comes into it. You've got a duty to your client, while we're in this multi-offer situation, of doing a good job of breaking down each and every contract. Good, bad, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. and giving that true rational thought so the seller can make the right decision. Because the sad truth is, we pick one offer, the other offers, they're going to go put an offer somewhere else. They're going to change their mind. They're going to rent an apartment. Whatever they do, this deal bombs. There's a good chance we're not coming back and being able to get this offer. So think about that, understand that. So just the bottom line on this: supply challenges, low mortgage rates, extremely motivated buyers. Sellers are well positioned to take advantage of the current market, but so are buyers in understanding the ability of, hey, if I sell in a top market, I'll get more equity out of my home while capitalizing on the low interest rates. Huge opportunities there. But when you're writing these offers, guys, make them realistic. I think I'm seeing more and more the crazy high offers aren't getting accepted because they just sound too good to be true. Anything that sounds too good to be true usually is. So more and more I'm seeing sellers like, listen, I don't trust this. This deal doesn't make sense to me. Give it as much advantage for your client as possible. Has a chance of winning by saying, hey, we'll pay closing costs. We're not going to ask for your closing costs. We'll pay the title policy. We'll pay for the survey. Whatever we need to do to make ourselves realistic. But if we start saying we're going to go $20,000 over asking price, if you're not willing to have that conversation with your buyer, are you willing to come to the table with $20,000 if this isn't the price? No, then don't offer it, because we're seeing it's going to be required, and sellers are coming up and saying, "Hey, you asked for this, you better pay up," and now that's coming into play. So take that offer, make it a realistic offer, and make it work. Don't write a fake offer and go back and try to fix the offer during the contract period, but make it a good offer. And when you're representing the sellers, take a due diligence and time to really investigate each offer and saying, is this realistic? Talk to the lenders. Is this going to happen? What's the best opportunity? And just because it's the most money doesn't mean it's the best deal for my client. So have that thought into it, but absolutely right now, great time to buy, great time to sell, depending on what they want to do. Now, I am the first person to say, not everybody, it's a good time to buy a house. Okay, so you need to have a true understanding. And Cheryl Montes with Grid Negro is great. I called her and said, hey, these rates are amazing. I want to refinance my home. She told me, listen, you can, but it's going to cost you blank and closing costs to save $20 a month. That doesn't make sense to do it. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. You need to have that serious conversation with your client. I don't want to get rich off anybody on one deal. I want to work multiple deals and multiple referrals off of my clients to make sure they're happy, they're excited, and they want to work with me. So to have that true conversation with your clients, say, hey, if this is the right time, it makes sense to buy. If this is the right time, it makes sense to sell, and turn around and buy wherever you're wanting to buy, because huge advantages on both sides of it. With that, guys, I'm going to cut it off a little bit early today because I don't know if you could tell, I'm coughing and it's annoying me. I assume it's annoying you. Reminder, tomorrow, Kent Bush and I will be doing another class, and it's going to be some great stuff. So I look forward to seeing you all there. With that, have a great day, guys. Appreciate it. As Kent says, fundamentals